What if the heaviest chains you carry were forged not of iron, but of comfort? You feel it, don't you? A low hum of discontent beneath the surface of your days. A quiet poison that seeps into the spaces between the distractions. You sit in rooms lit by artificial light, your eyes tracing the glow of a screen, while a primal part of you, a forgotten ancestor, screams for the cold shock of a winter river, for the heat of a forge, for the weight of a purpose held firmly in your hands. You are a ghost haunting the halls of your own potential. You move through your life like a tourist, observing events but never truly inhabiting them. The laughter feels hollow. The achievements feel like borrowed clothes. There is a disconnect, a chasm between the person you present to the world and the caged wolf that paces behind your ribs. You've followed the maps they gave you. You've walked the well-trodden paths. You've collected the trinkets they told you were treasures. Yet a hunger remains. A deep, gnawing hunger for something real, something solid, something that doesn't shatter when the storms of life inevitably hit. You see others, seemingly content in their neatly constructed lives, and you wonder if you are the one who is broken. You are not broken. You are awakening. That ache is not a sign of weakness. It is the stirring of a giant. It is the first tremor before the mountain moves. Today you will not be given another map. Today we burn the maps. We will step off the path and into the wilderness of the self. We will walk into the domain of the Iron Sage, not a man of flesh and blood, but an archetype of power that lies dormant within you. And we will face his great challenge, the trial of inner fire. This is not a lesson. This is an initiation. You will learn to smelt your pain into power, your fear into focus, and your doubt into a weapon of unyielding will. By the end of this journey, the person listening now will be a mere echo, a faded photograph of the warrior who emerges. You will not simply learn how to change your life. You will become the force of nature that commands the change. Let us begin with a truth that will splinter the foundations of your weakness. The world has lied to you about the nature of your suffering. It has taught you that pain is a signal to stop, a red flag of danger, an enemy to be avoided, medicated, or numbed at all costs. This is the great deception that keeps you in your cage. The Iron Sage knows that pain is not a verdict. It is a tool. It is the hammer of the cosmic blacksmith. It is the harsh, grating sound of the whetstone against the dull blade of your spirit. The fire you fear is the very thing required to burn away the dross, to temper your soul into something unbreakable. The first law of this trial is this: you do not run from the fire. You walk into it and you learn to call it by its true name: transformation. Think of the last time you felt true, biting discomfort. Not the dull ache of boredom, but the sharp sting of effort, the burn of pushing past a limit. Did you retreat? Did you seek immediate relief? The next time it comes, and it will come, I want you to do one thing: stand your ground. Do not flinch. Look it directly in the eye and say, "You are here to teach me." That simple act of defiance, of reframing, is the first swing of the hammer. It is the moment you stop being the anvil and start becoming the smith. The Iron Sage does not live in a comfortable valley. His forge is carved into the side of a wind-blasted mountain where only the hardiest trees can grow, their roots clinging to the rock like desperate fingers. The air is thin and sharp, and the silence is broken only by the roar of the bellows and the ring of steel on steel. To reach him, you must make the climb. This journey is that climb. The first part of this ascent is understanding the terrain of your own mind. Your mind right now is an untamed wilderness. It is a land overrun by thieves and ghosts. The thieves are your distractions, the endless stream of notifications, fleeting pleasures, and empty conversations that steal your most precious resource, your focused attention. They promise a moment of relief but leave you poorer in spirit, your energy scattered like dust in the wind. The ghosts are your past failures, your ingrained fears, your limiting beliefs whispered to you by others and now repeated by your own inner critic. They haunt the shadowed corners of your thoughts, convincing you that the future will be nothing more than a repetition of the past. The first task in the trial is not to fight these phantoms head-on. A warrior does not waste his strength battling shadows. The first task is to build a fortress. The Stoics called it the inner citadel, but the Iron Sage calls it the fortress of the unflinching mind. This fortress is not built of stone and mortar, it is built of discipline. Not the fleeting motivation you get from a rousing speech, but the cold, hard, unglamorous discipline of doing what must be done, especially when you do not want to do it. It starts with your body. Why? Because the body is the anchor of the will. An undisciplined body houses a scattered mind. The Iron Sage would tell you to rise before the sun. Why? Because the dawn is a daily promise of renewal. And by conquering your own desire for comfort in that first silent hour, you win the first battle of the day before your enemies are even awake. The cold is your ally, seek it out. Let the shock of icy water jolt your system awake. Let it teach you that your immediate primal reaction to discomfort is not the final word. In that gasp, in that moment of wanting to retreat, there is a space. In that space you plant the flag of your will. You choose to endure. You choose to remain. Each cold plunge is a lesson in separating stimulus from response. The cold is the stimulus. The panic is the untrained response. The calm endurance is the warrior's response. This practice forges new pathways in your brain. It teaches your nervous system on a cellular level that you are the one in command, not your fleeting sensations. The weight is your teacher. Go to where the iron lives. Lift something heavy. Feel the strain in your muscles, the fire in your lungs. The iron does not lie. It does not care about your feelings, your excuses, or your day. It presents a simple, brutal truth. You are either strong enough or you are not. And if you are not, you must return tomorrow and the day after and become stronger. This is the perfect metaphor for every challenge you will ever face. The weight of your responsibilities, the weight of your ambitions, the weight of your own past, they are all just iron. You do not wish for the weight to be lighter. You pray to become stronger. The act of consistently putting yourself under physical load trains your mind to accept and overcome resistance. The voice that wants to quit on the last repetition is the same voice that tells you to give up on your dreams. By silencing it in the gym, you learn to silence it in your life. This is not about building a perfect body. It is about forging an unbreakable will. The physical transformation is merely a side effect, a reflection of the inner change. The man who can command his body to rise in the dark, to embrace the cold, to lift the weight, is a man who is learning to command his own spirit. He is laying the foundation stones of his inner fortress. While others are hitting the snooze button, bargaining with their own weakness, he has already declared victory. He has chosen hardship as his breakfast. Now let us speak of the thieves of attention. Your focus is the light of your consciousness. It is the currency of your potential. Where you direct it, your reality grows. The modern world is a grand conspiracy to shatter your focus into 1,000 useless shards. The endless scroll, the constant notifications, the demand for your immediate response to everything. It is a relentless assault on your sovereignty. The Iron Sage has no phone. His attention is a spear, not a net. He is wholly present in his task, whether it is shaping a red-hot piece of steel, observing the flight of a hawk, or feeling the wind on the mountain. You must become a ruthless guardian of your own attention. The trial of inner fire demands periods of profound, unbroken solitude and silence. You must carve out time each day to simply be with your own mind without any external input. No music, no podcasts, no screens. Just you, the air in your lungs, and the thoughts that arise. At first, this will feel like torture. Your mind, addicted to stimulation, will scream and thrash like a cornered animal. It will dredge up every anxiety, every awkward memory, every meaningless worry to try and bait you back into distraction. This is the detox. This is the fever breaking. Do not fight the thoughts. Observe them like clouds passing in the moody sky above the forge. Acknowledge them and let them go. This practice of mindful observation does what no amount of frantic activity can. It creates a space between you and your thoughts. You begin to realize you are not the storm. You are the sky that holds the storm. You are not the voice of doubt. You are the awareness listening to that voice. This is the beginning of true power. When you are no longer a slave to every passing thought and emotion, you become the master of your inner kingdom. You decide which thoughts to feed and which to starve. You choose the emotional weather within your fortress. Most people live their entire lives being thrown around by the internal gales of anxiety and the external storms of circumstance. The warrior learns to find the eye of the hurricane, the place of calm, unshakable presence within himself. He can stand in the midst of chaos and remain centered, his focus a sharp, unwavering point of light. This is how you begin to starve the thieves and banish the ghosts. The thief of distraction cannot survive in a mind accustomed to stillness. The ghost of past failure loses its power when you are no longer identified with the thoughts it generates. You are building the walls of your fortress, brick by brick, with every moment of chosen discomfort, with every minute of reclaimed, silent focus. This is the foundational work. It is slow, it is hard, and no one will applaud you for it. It is done in the dark, in the cold, in the quiet moments when it is just you against your own weakness. But this is where the war for your own soul is won or lost. We have spoken of the foundation, the cold, hard discipline of the body and the focused mind. This is the bedrock of your fortress. But a fortress is useless if its gates are left unguarded. The gates of your mind are your perceptions. How you interpret the world, the meaning you assign to events, is the single greatest power you possess. The iron sage sees the storm that snows him into his forge not as a prison, but as an opportunity for uninterrupted work. He sees the impurities in the iron not as a flaw, but as a challenge to his skill, a chance to create something even purer. He does not see the world as happening to him. He sees it as a grand and indifferent stage upon which he chooses to act with virtue and strength. This is the essence of the Stoic warrior, the alpha mindset that is not about dominating others, but about achieving absolute dominion over oneself. Most people are slaves to their interpretations. A setback is a disaster. A criticism is a personal attack. A delayed goal is failure. These are not objective realities. They are stories you tell yourself. And these stories are forged in the fires of fear, ego, and a desperate need for the world to be easy and predictable. The world is not easy, and it is not predictable. The sea does not care for the plans of the sailor. The trial of inner fire demands that you become a master storyteller of your own life, but not one who tells pretty lies. It demands you become a teller of powerful truths. The truth is, you control almost nothing of what happens in the external world. You do not control the economy, the weather, the opinions of others, or the sudden turns of fate. Your desperate attempt to manage these things is the source of all your anxiety. It is like trying to command the tides. The warrior's power lies not in controlling the storm, but in building an unbreakable ship and becoming a master navigator. The ship is your character. The navigation is your judgment. The one thing you have absolute, godlike control over is your response, your perception, the meaning you choose. Let's take a concrete example. Someone betrays your trust. The untrained mind immediately collapses into a story of victimhood. How could they do this to me? I am wounded. The world is unjust. I can never trust anyone again. This story, while emotionally satisfying in its drama, is pure poison. It renders you helpless. It makes the betrayer the central character in your life's drama and you a mere casualty. The iron sage, the warrior of the mind, would choose a different story. He would feel the sting of the betrayal. He is not a man of stone, but he would not dwell there. His story would be one of learning. This person has revealed their true character. I am grateful for this painful lesson, for it has shown me where not to place my trust. This event has made me wiser, more discerning. My path is now clearer, for I have one less false companion upon it. Do you see the shift? The event is the same. The pain is real in both scenarios. But the meaning, the power, is completely transformed. In the first story, you are a victim. In the second, you are a student growing stronger through adversity. This is not a trick of positive thinking. It is a strategy of radical ownership. It is the understanding that nothing external has any power over you unless you grant it that power through your interpretation. A man can insult you, but you are the one who chooses to feel insulted. A project can fail, but you are the one who chooses to label yourself a failure. This is the most difficult and the most liberating of all disciplines. It requires constant vigilance. You must become a sentinel at the gates of your mind, inspecting every thought that seeks entry. Is this thought true? Is this thought useful? Does this interpretation make me stronger or weaker? To practice this, you must begin to dissect your emotional reactions. The next time you feel a surge of anger, anxiety, or despair, stop. Do not act. Do not speak. Create a pause. In that pause, ask yourself, what story am I telling myself right now that is causing this feeling? Trace the emotion back to the thought, back to the judgment that created it. You will find it is almost never the event itself, but your narrative about the event. My boss criticized my work is an event. My boss thinks I'm incompetent, I'm going to get fired, I'm a fraud is a story. The story is what causes the suffering. The Iron Sage would tell you to treat your thoughts like raw iron ore. Most of it is slag, useless rock. You must heat it in the forge of your attention and hammer it with questioning reason to find the small amount of pure steel within. Is it absolutely true that your boss thinks you're incompetent? Or did he simply point out an error that needs correcting? Is it a fact you're going to be fired? Or is that a catastrophic fantasy spun by your fear? By breaking down the story, you rob it of its power. You are left with the simple, manageable reality of the event itself. An error was found. I must correct it. This is a problem to be solved, not a verdict on your self-worth. This practice, repeated daily, is what builds an unshakable inner peace. Not the peace of a tranquil meadow, but the peace of a mountain peak that stands unmoved amidst the raging storm. It is a peace born of strength, not of blissful ignorance. It is the quiet confidence of knowing that whatever the world throws at you, you have the power to choose your response. You can be harmed, but you can only be made a victim by your own consent. This is the dangerous power that begins to awaken when you master your perceptions. You become immune to the petty dramas and manipulations of others. Their praise does not inflate you, and their criticism does not crush you, because your sense of self-worth is no longer outsourced. It is forged internally in the fire of your own disciplined mind. You are no longer a leaf in the wind. You are the wind itself. You are building your fortress. The foundation of discipline is set. The gates of perception are guarded. Now, we must speak of the law that governs the world outside your fortress walls and the code that must govern the world within. The Iron Sage lives by a simple, brutal law he learned from the mountain itself. Amor fati. Love your fate. This is not a passive resignation. It is not a weak acceptance of whatever comes. It is an active, powerful, and defiant embrace of reality in its totality. It is the warrior's creed. It is the belief that everything that happens, every triumph, every disaster, every joy, every wound, is a necessary and perfect piece of your journey. The common man spends his life in a state of civil war with reality. He wishes the past had been different. He fears the future will not meet his expectations. He resents the present for not being what he wants it to be. He is a man perpetually arguing with what is asterisk. This is the definition of insanity. It is like a sailor cursing the sea for being wet or the sky for being vast. It is a monumental waste of energy. The warrior, the Iron Sage, does not waste a single drop of his spirit on arguing with reality. He accepts it completely and without reservation. The storm has come. Good. It will test the strength of my ship. The enemy has shown his strength. Good. It will force me to become stronger and more cunning. The path has become steep and treacherous. Good. The view from the summit will be earned, not given. Amber fatty asterisk is the ultimate alchemy. It transforms every obstacle into a stepping stone, every wound into a source of wisdom. It is not about saying this is good when something terrible happens. It is about saying this has happened and it is now part of my path. I will not waste my strength wishing it were different. I will use it. I will learn from it. I will integrate it into my being and become more formidable because of it. This mindset makes you antifragile. Fragile things break under stress. Resilient things endure stress. Antifragile things asterisk thrive on stress. A wine glass is fragile. A block of rubber is resilient. A human soul forged in the trial of inner fire is antifragile. Every shock, every pressure, every chaos makes it stronger, more complex, more capable. How do you begin to practice this? You start with the small things, the traffic jam that makes you late, the spilled coffee on your shirt, the rude stranger. In these moments, your instinct is to resist, to curse, to become agitated. Instead, practice the pause, breathe, and then say, either aloud or to yourself, I accept this. This is part of my path now. What can I do with it? Perhaps the traffic jam is a moment for silent reflection you wouldn't have had otherwise. Perhaps the spilled coffee is a lesson in mindfulness and slowing down. Perhaps the rude stranger is a test of your inner calm, a chance to practice remaining centered when provoked. You are reframing these events from annoyances into training simulations for your spirit. As you practice with the small things, you build the muscle to handle the large ones. The job loss, the diagnosis, the heartbreak. These are the true storms. When they come, and they will come, your training will take over. Instead of collapsing into why me, your spirit will rise and ask, what now? How can I use this? This is not to say you will not feel grief or pain. The Iron Sage is not numb. He feels everything, but he is not controlled by it. He allows the wave of emotion to wash over him, knowing that he is the mountain, not the wave. And when the water recedes, he is still standing, weathered but not broken. He is still there, ready to take the next step. This embrace of fate must be paired with an internal law, a warrior's code. A man who is merely a passive acceptor of fate is a piece of driftwood. A man who has a rigid internal code but fights against reality is a brittle fool. The power is in the combination: absolute acceptance of what is outside your control, and absolute, unwavering discipline over what is within your control. Your code is the set of principles you live by, regardless of circumstance. It is your non-negotiable personal law. What is your code? Have you ever even considered it? Most people drift through life on a sea of whims, their values shifting with the social currents. They are one person with their friends, another with their family, and yet another when they are alone. This is a sign of a weak spirit, a soul without a spine. The warrior decides who he is and what he stands for, and then he lives that truth every single day. His code might be simple: speak the truth or do not speak. Keep your promises, especially those you make to yourself. Never complain, explain, or act. Leave every person and every place better than you found it. Do what is right, not what is easy. Your code is forged in solitude. You must sit in the silence of your own mind and ask the hard questions. What do I truly value? What lines will I not cross? What kind of man do I want to be, even if no one is watching? Write it down, not as a list of aspirations, but as a set of commands. Carve them into the stone of your mind. And then the trial of inner fire begins in earnest. Every day will present you with a dozen small opportunities to betray your code for comfort or convenience. The chance to tell a small lie to avoid an awkward conversation. The temptation to skip a workout because you are tired. The urge to gossip to feel part of a group. Each of these moments is a test. Every time you choose your code over your comfort, you add another layer of steel to your character. You become more solid, more real. People will begin to notice. Not because you announce your code, but because you live it. They will feel your presence. There is a weight, a gravity, to a person who lives by an internal compass. They are predictable in their integrity and unpredictable in their capacity to handle chaos. They are a rock in a world of shifting sands. This is the source of true confidence. Not the loud, boastful confidence of the ego, but the quiet, unshakable confidence of a man who knows himself, who trusts himself, because he has tested himself against his own principles, day after day, in the crucible of ordinary life. He has loved his fate, and he has honored his code. He is a master of his inner world and thus a force in the outer world. We have fortified the mind and accepted the unyielding nature of reality. We have forged an inner code. Now we must address the nature of time, for the Iron Sage knows that a warrior's greatest and most unforgiving adversary is the relentless passage of days. He sees time not as a line stretching endlessly into the future, but as a finite resource, a pouch of gold coins given at birth. With every sunrise, a coin is spent, and it can never be retrieved. This understanding shapes his every action. He does not kill time, he does not waste it. He invests it with purpose and intensity. The modern world lulls you into a hypnotic trance regarding time. The endless feeds, the bingeable shows, the constant stream of novelties, they are designed to make you forget that the clock is ticking. They anesthetize you to the quiet tragedy of a life spent in passive consumption. The hours bleed into days, the days into years, and one day you awaken, old and filled with the bitter regret of 1,000 unpursued ambitions. The ghost of the man you could have been will stand at your bedside and ask, why? The trial of inner fire demands you shatter this trance. You must confront your own mortality. The Stoics called it memento mori, remember you will die. This is not a morbid obsession with death. It is the ultimate motivator for life. The Iron Sage keeps a skull in his forge. It is not a symbol of despair, but a reminder of urgency. It sits there, silent and grinning, and asks him with every glance, are you living fully? Are you using this day well? Or are you squandering the precious, unrepayable gift of your time? You must bring this awareness into your own life. When you wake up, before you reach for your phone, take a moment to acknowledge the truth. This day is not a guarantee. It is a gift. I have a finite number of these dawns, and I will not waste this one. This simple practice shifts your entire perspective. It transforms mundane tasks into opportunities. The workout is not a chore. It is a chance to build your body, a gift denied to many. The difficult project at work is not a burden. It is a chance to sharpen your mind and build your skill. The conversation with a loved one is not an interruption. It is a precious moment that will one day be a memory. With this urgency burning in your chest, you must learn to wield your will like a spear, directing it at a single, worthy target. A scattered will is a weak will. A man who wants to do everything accomplishes nothing. You must have the courage to choose your purpose, your great work. What is the mountain you will climb? What is the masterpiece you will forge? This does not have to be a grand, world-changing ambition. It can be becoming the best father, the most skilled craftsman in your town, the most disciplined version of yourself. The scale does not matter. The commitment does. Once you have chosen your target, you must be ruthless in eliminating everything that does not serve that aim. The Iron Sage does not attend frivolous gatherings. He does not engage in idle gossip. He does not concern himself with the fleeting opinions of the crowd. His life is a study in essentialism. His time and energy are channeled like a river between high canyon walls, carving a deep path. He knows that saying no to 100 good things is necessary to say yes to the one great thing. This will make you seem strange to others. They who live lives of scattered distraction will not understand your focus. They will call you obsessed, intense, antisocial. Let them. You are not running their race. You are on a different quest, a different timeline. You are not building a life of shallow breadth. You are forging a legacy of profound depth. Your allegiance is not to the crowd. It is to the man you are becoming, to the promise you made to yourself in the silent hours of the morning. This requires you to master the art of the deep work. In a world that rewards frantic, shallow activity, you must go against the grain. You must carve out large, uninterrupted blocks of time to dedicate to your craft. During these blocks, you disappear from the world. No phone, no email, no distractions. It is just you and the work. It is in these periods of intense, unbroken concentration that breakthroughs happen. This is where skill is honed into mastery. This is where good work becomes great work. It will be hard. Your mind will resist. The urge to seek distraction will be immense. This is the trial. You must train your focus like a muscle, starting with small intervals and gradually extending them. Remember the skull. Remember the ticking clock. This is not a dress rehearsal. This life is the performance. You are the hero of this story, and the story is being written right now in this very moment by the choices you make. Are you choosing to be a passive spectator, or are you choosing to be the active protagonist? Are you spending your precious coins of time on things that will matter in a year, in a decade, on your deathbed? The confrontation with mortality is the ultimate antidote to procrastination and triviality. It burns away the unimportant and leaves only the essential. It clarifies your values and energizes your will. Live each day as if it were your last, because one day you will be right. Do not fear this thought. Let it liberate you. Let it be the fire that fuels your forge, the wind that fills your sails. You have built the fortress, accepted the laws of reality, forged a code, and faced the truth of your mortality. The structure is sound. The warrior is ready. But a warrior is not meant to sit within his fortress forever. The purpose of strength is not to hide. It is to act. The purpose of a sharp blade is not to be admired. It is to be wielded. Now we enter the phase of the trial that tests your courage not in solitude, but in the arena of the world. This is the trial of action, the test of translating inner power into outer effect. The iron sage knows that all the philosophy and discipline in the world is meaningless ash if it does not result in deliberate, purposeful action. A man is not what he thinks or what he says, but what he does. The world does not reward your intentions. It rewards your results. And results are born only from the messy, imperfect, and often frightening process of taking action. Your fear is the great gatekeeper. It stands guard before every meaningful endeavor. The fear of failure, the fear of rejection, the fear of judgment, the fear of the unknown. This fear is a primal, powerful force. Its voice is persuasive, whispering tales of caution and catastrophe. It tells you to wait for the perfect moment, to gather more information, to get one more certification. It is the master of procrastination, disguising cowardice as prudence. The warrior's way is to move towards the fear. The iron sage would tell you that the cave you fear to enter holds the treasure you seek. The feeling of fear is not a signal to stop. It is a compass pointing you directly toward your next area of growth. Whatever you are most afraid of doing is very likely the exact thing you need to do to evolve. Are you afraid of public speaking? That is your arena. Afraid of starting your own business? That is your quest. Afraid of having that difficult conversation? That is your duty. You do not conquer fear by waiting for it to disappear. You conquer it by taking action in its presence. Courage is not the absence of fear. It is the judgment that something else is more important than fear. Your purpose, your code, your commitment to the man you are becoming. These must be more important than the temporary discomfort of fear. You must learn to act while your hands are shaking. You must learn to speak while your voice trembles. The secret is to shrink the scale of the action. You are not trying to conquer the entire mountain in one leap. You are just trying to take the next single, manageable step. The fear of starting a business is overwhelming. The action of drafting a one-page business plan is manageable. The fear of writing a book is paralyzing. The action of writing 300 words today is achievable. This is the principle of momentum. A longship at a standstill is difficult to move, but once it is gliding through the water, it is hard to stop. Your first small, courageous action is the first push of the oar. The second is easier. The third, easier still. Action is also the ultimate clarifier. You can spend years planning and theorizing, trapped in the paralysis of analysis. But you will learn more from 1 week of real-world action than from a year of speculation. When you act, you get feedback. You learn what works and what doesn't. You make mistakes, and those mistakes become your most valuable teachers. Failure is not the opposite of success. It is a part of success. Every great warrior is covered in scars. Every master craftsman has a pile of failed projects behind him. The Iron Sage's forge is littered with pieces of twisted, imperfect steel. They are not monuments to his failure. They are the price of his mastery. You must decouple your identity from your results. Your action may fail, but that does not make you a failure. You are the warrior, the actor, the experimenter. The outcome is just data. Did the approach work? No. Excellent. Now I know one way that does not work. I am wiser. I will try another way. This mindset transforms failure from a devastating personal blow into a simple, impersonal data point. It allows you to be resilient, to get knocked down 10 times and stand up 11, not with grim resignation, but with eager curiosity. What will I learn this time? This requires you to embrace being a beginner. The ego hates being a beginner. It wants to be seen as competent and knowledgeable. But to grow, you must be willing to look foolish. You must be willing to ask stupid questions, to make obvious mistakes, to be the least skilled person in the room. This humility is a superpower. The person who is willing to be a beginner can learn anything. The person who is too proud to look foolish is trapped forever in the small prison of what they already know. So look at your life right now. Where is the fear? Where is the resistance? Where have you been planning and waiting and hesitating? That is your battlefield. That is where the trial of inner fire is calling you now. Choose one area, and then choose one small, immediate action you can take in the next 24 hours, not next week, not tomorrow. Today, make the call, send the email, write the first paragraph, do the first workout. It doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be done. This is the way of the warrior. This is the way of the Iron Sage. He is not a thinker who sometimes acts. He is a doer who guides his actions with deep thought. His hands are calloused, his brow is sweaty, and his will is made manifest in the real world, forged in the fires of courageous, imperfect, relentless action. As you act in the world, wielding your will and facing your fears, you will inevitably encounter the most unpredictable and often most challenging element of the trial: other people. The Iron Sage is a solitary figure, but he is not a hermit. He understands that to live a full life, one must interact with the tribe, but he is exceptionally deliberate about how he does so. He knows that the people you surround yourself with are the soil in which your own spirit will either flourish or wither. The untrained mind is a social sponge. It unconsciously absorbs the beliefs, attitudes, and energy levels of those around it. If you surround yourself with cynics, you will become cynical. If you surround yourself with complainers, you will find more to complain about. If you surround yourself with people who are comfortable with mediocrity, your own ambitions will begin to seem foolish, and your fire will dim. This is the subtle poison that kills more dreams than any outright failure. Part of the trial of inner fire is to become a ruthless curator of your own social circle. This is not about arrogance or looking down on others. It is about a profound act of self-preservation and self-respect. You must conduct an audit of the people in your life. For each person, ask yourself a simple, honest question. After spending time with them, do I feel more energized or more drained? Do I feel more expansive or more constricted? Do I feel more inspired to be my best self, or more inclined to indulge my worst habits? The answers will be uncomfortable. You will realize that some people, perhaps even people you love, are anchors tied to your feet. They may not mean to be. Often their negativity comes from their own fear. When they see you trying to climb, it reminds them that they are staying still, and this is painful for them. So, consciously or unconsciously, they will try to pull you back down. They will offer you realistic advice, which is just a projection of their own limited beliefs. They will mock your discipline. They will tempt you with the easy comforts you are trying to transcend. You have a choice. You can dim your own light to make them feel more comfortable, or you can protect your fire, even if it means creating distance. The warrior chooses to protect his fire. This does not always mean cutting people out of your life completely, though sometimes it is necessary. Often, it means strategically managing your time and your energy. You may reduce the amount of time you spend with certain people. You may change the context of your interactions, keeping them light and superficial, refusing to be drawn into their cycles of complaint or gossip. You erect energetic boundaries, refusing to let their weather system become your own. At the same time, you must actively seek out the forge. You must find the others who are also on the path of fire and steel. Seek out people who hold you to a higher standard. Find mentors who are 10 steps ahead of you on the mountain. Build alliances with peers who are just as hungry and disciplined as you are. In the presence of such people, your own standards are raised. Their discipline inspires your discipline. Their ambition fuels your ambition. These relationships are not based on shared complaints or a need to kill time. They are based on mutual respect and a shared commitment to growth. 1 hour spent in the company of a master is worth 100 hours spent with a crowd of doubters. When you interact with anyone, from a king to a beggar, you must do so from the center of your own frame. Your inner fortress, your code, your purpose. This is your frame. You do not bend your reality to fit theirs. You remain grounded in your own truth. This does not mean being rigid or argumentative. On the contrary, a man who is secure in his own frame can be incredibly flexible and gracious. He doesn't need to win arguments because he has nothing to prove. He doesn't need the validation of others because he validates himself. He can listen to opposing viewpoints without feeling threatened because his identity is not tied to his opinions. He interacts with a principle of calm, centered power. His words are few, but they have weight. He makes no promises he cannot keep, and he speaks the truth with compassion but without softness. He is not swayed by emotional manipulation or social pressure. He is a rock, and people instinctively feel this. Some will be drawn to it, seeking its stability. Others will be repelled by it, as it highlights their own lack of foundation. This is of no concern to him. His task is not to be liked by everyone. His task is to be true to himself and of service to his purpose. So look at your tribe. Are they warriors or are they worriers? Are they blacksmiths or are they rust? Make the hard choices. Protect your energy as fiercely as a dragon guards its gold. Seek out the fire of others to add to your own. And in all your dealings, stand tall within the fortress of your own mind. You are the sovereign of your own inner kingdom, and you decide who is granted an audience. We have come far on this climb. We have laid the foundation of discipline, guarded the gates of perception, embraced the totality of our fate, honored the finiteness of our time, taken courageous action, and curated our tribe. We have built the warrior. Now, we must understand what the warrior fights for. A warrior without a purpose beyond himself is just a thug. A blade without a righteous cause is merely a tool of destruction. The final stage of the trial of inner fire is the transmutation of personal power into purpose, of strength into service. It is the journey from being a warrior to becoming a chieftain, a sage. The Iron Sage does not forge blades for his own glory. He forges them so the village can be protected, so the fields can be tilled, so the tribe can thrive. His strength is not a monument to his ego. It is a resource for his community. This is the great paradox of power. The more you give away, the more you have. A fire that is hoarded in a lantern provides light for one. A fire that is used to light a beacon provides light for all who can see the mountain. Your journey of self-mastery cannot end with you. If you become strong, disciplined, and focused only to acquire more wealth, more status, or more pleasure for yourself, you will find an emptiness at the core of your success. It will be a hollow victory. The hunger will return because the soul is not nourished by taking. It is nourished by giving. The alpha mindset is not ultimately about being at the top of the hierarchy. It is about taking responsibility for the well-being of the hierarchy. The true chieftain is the one who eats last, the one who takes the greatest risks for the good of the tribe, the one whose shoulders are broad enough to carry the burdens of others. This does not mean you must abandon your own ambitions. On the contrary, your ambition to become the strongest, most capable version of yourself is the greatest gift you can give to the world. A weak man cannot help anyone. A broke man cannot provide for his family. A fearful man cannot lead. Your first duty is to become a person of immense value. You must fill your own cup until it overflows. The service comes from that overflow. How does this manifest in your life? It starts small. It is in how you show up for your family, your partner, your children. Are you a source of strength, stability, and presence for them? Or are you another source of chaos and neediness? It is in how you perform your work. Do you do the bare minimum, or do you approach your craft with a dedication to excellence that elevates not just yourself, but your entire team or your clients? Do you see your job as a chore, or as a platform to contribute your unique skills to the world? It is in how you move through your community. Do you walk with your head down, lost in your own world? Or do you look people in the eye, offer a genuine word of encouragement to a stranger, or stop to help someone in need? The chieftain is aware of his environment. He is a guardian, a protector, by his very nature. His presence alone should make the people around him feel safer, more at ease. This is the ultimate expression of inner strength. The man who has conquered his own inner demons has no need to create them in the outer world. He has battled his own fear, so he does not need to intimidate others. He has faced his own inadequacies, so he has no need to belittle anyone else. He is at peace with himself, and so he brings peace, not drama, into his relationships. He is a force of order in a world of chaos. This is the meaning of becoming unrecognizable. It is not just about changing your physique or your bank account. It is about a fundamental shift in your being. You move from a state of taking to a state of giving. You move from a state of neediness to a state of contribution. You move from being a character in the story to becoming the author of it, not just for yourself, but for those you have the privilege to lead and serve. Think about the impact you want to have. When your time on this earth is done, when the fire in your own forge finally goes out, what will be left behind? What stories will be told? Will they speak of a man who took what he could? Or will they speak of a man who built, who protected, who inspired? Will the echo of your life be the sound of a door slamming shut, or the sound of a beacon being lit? This is the final question of the trial. This is the purpose of the fire. It is not just to temper you. It is to make you a source of light and warmth in a cold and dark world. Let us pause for a moment on this mountainside. Look back at the path you have climbed. You began as a ghost, a passenger in your own life, feeling the dull ache of an unrealized potential. You heard the call to the trial. You stepped into the forge. You learned to see pain not as a punishment, but as a tool. You began to build your inner fortress through the cold, hard currency of discipline. You learned to guard your mind, to choose the powerful story over the comfortable lie. You learned to embrace your fate, to love the unyielding reality of what is, while holding yourself to an unwavering inner code. You have confronted the specter of your own death and allowed it to fill you with a fierce urgency for life. You have learned to act in the face of fear, to move when you are trembling, to be the spear, not just the spear thrower. You have learned the vital importance of your tribe and the quiet power of a sovereign frame. And now, you see that all this strength, all this fire, is not for you alone. It is for something larger. It is the fuel for your purpose. This journey is not over. The trial is never truly over. The Iron Sage never stops stoking his forge. The mountain always presents a higher peak, but you are no longer the same person who started this climb. The fire has changed you. It has burned away the weakness, the excuses, the self-pity. It has revealed the core of steel that was always within you. You have learned the secrets of the inner fire, not as intellectual concepts, but as lived realities etched into your nervous system, your habits, your very soul. The path forward is still fraught with challenges, with storms, with moments of doubt. But now you have a compass. You have a code. You have a fortress within to which you can always retreat, not in defeat, but to rest, to strategize, and to emerge stronger. When was the last time you truly felt proud of yourself? Not for an external achievement, but for a private victory over your own weakness. For choosing the hard right over the easy wrong. For keeping a promise you made only to yourself. This is the feeling that will now become your constant companion. It is the quiet, profound satisfaction of a life lived with honor, with purpose, with will. The world is full of sleeping men. Men who walk and talk and work, but whose spirits are in a deep slumber. You have chosen to awaken. You have chosen the path of fire, of effort, of meaning. This path will often be a lonely one. But know this, on the highest peaks you will find the others. The other warriors, the other sages, the other chieftains who also chose this climb. And the view from there, the sense of communion with those who have also faced the fire, is worth every single step of the arduous journey. You have been initiated. The trial continues. What is the one, single fire you know you must walk into but have been avoiding? What fear have you been placating? What comfort have you been clinging to that has kept you from the next stage of your own becoming? Do not just think about it, feel it, name it, and then make a silent promise to yourself right now that you will take the first step into that fire before this day is done. The sage is watching. More importantly, the man you are destined to be is waiting. Do not keep him waiting any longer.